Welcome. We are back, another week upon us in the market. What's up, Maxime, Nutty Bits? A lot to talk about. Very interesting market formations right now. We're going to get started with Bitcoin. After that, I'm going to talk about the overall stock market. We'll talk about a handful of stocks. So yeah, we'll see what's up with everything. It should be live every day until Thursday. What's up, Plebere? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, check out the links in the description. So yeah, starting off with Bitcoin, it's testing a very key level. You can see the green arrows on my chart currently. A lot of different highs and lows here around 41.4K. I mean, really it's just between 40 and 42K. We've been talking about these levels since like up over here. Topped out here in January 21st of 2021, or January 2021, June 2021. Then you found support here in September of 2021, and yet again you're for now finding support here at the same exact level. So this is the big level. You break under this level on Bitcoin, and I think it's headed to the lower $30,000 area. If you can hold this level, it could retest 52, 53K. You know, this little resistance zone over here. We did talk about that hidden bearish divergence on Bitcoin that has definitely been playing out, and now that is forming potential classic bullish divergence. Okay. So that's what you got on Bitcoin right now. I think you were slightly oversold for the first time since last May. You're just testing these levels. If we go over to the 4-hour chart on Bitcoin and lower this a little bit. Got a nice little double bottom here on lower time frames right around 40K. Then you made this move up to almost 43K, and now you're kind of back at 42K. So make or break areas for Bitcoin. Could obviously go either way, but at least you can see, you know, depending which way you get a larger move off of first, what the next potential direction for Bitcoin could be. It's made from the low of July last year to the high in November of last year. It made about, I'd say, a 70% retrace. So yeah, that's Bitcoin. Ethereum bounced off of 3K, close to a bullish bat here. Got a little bit shy of an 886 retrace. No divergence on the MACD, but you are oversold on the RSI for the first time since the COVID crash. So 3K is the level for Ethereum that you want to keep an eye on. And yeah, if it can hold it, maybe 33.54 could be tested next. Otherwise, maybe it sells off to 2800 to test that. So that's Bitcoin and Ethereum. OMI dropped down to the next support. Now you've got potential, no divergence of any form currently, actually. So it's just kind of going sideways right now. So stock futures, NASDAQ futures just went red to green. S&P futures are kind of flat. Russell futures are a little bit red, down about 0.25%. So what's going on with the market this week? How are things looking? Let's get into it. I'm going to start off with just your weekly time frames on the market. Okay. S&P weekly not looking the best. But in a bearish engulfing candle, you do have pretty much quadruple classic bearish divergence, and at least triple classic bearish divergence on your RSI. So remember, we've been doing this nonstop since the COVID crash, and you might be getting towards the point where it could be time to break down from this channel, maybe in a month or so, who knows. But a lot of these large cap tech stocks, especially if you look at the NASDAQ after this, they just can't keep going up like this at the same pace forever. A lot of them will probably just keep going up and up and up as the companies grow, but this pace has just been almost unheard of in the last year and a half. So yeah, that's really it for the S&P 500 on the weekly. It's not looking too great. We'll take a look at the NASDAQ, which it's hanging on by a thread on the weekly. You still could argue potential hidden bullish divergence on the weekly, and you're just testing this demand line. So we're going to find out this week if we can hold this demand line and then stay within this upsloping channel that we've held since March of last year, or if we break down, maybe test these lower levels. All right, so that's your NASDAQ weekly. The ARK ETF weekly kind of closed under how I drew this demand line. Maybe a little support around the lower $80 area. The QQQ weekly, it's all about this little support level. I'll draw a small box here. You're just kind of in this range on the QQQ. So you're at the lower part of the range. We're going to find out soon if we're going to break down, or if we're going to be able to bounce off of the support for about the 5th time in a row. Those are your weekly charts. Even the Russell 2000, another bearish engulfing candle, potential classic bullish divergence if the MACD crosses over to green. But your weeklies are looking a little bit weak right now. If we go over to the daily time frame, we'll get into the normal analysis. S&P 500, it doesn't look to me like the bottom is in for now. We've done a great job of anticipating a lot of bottoms in the last 2 years, but for right now, I don't know. I just don't see any sort of strength on the S&P 500. It did have a really nice rally from 450 to 480. You're not really at that volume point. You remember we've been talking about this area of volume where you keep spiking up to it, and then that's pretty much where you're bottoming at. You might have some more to go on your volume, and yeah, it's just not, you know, you're not even at a lower Bollinger Band either. You're just under the middle. So I don't know, maybe if you do eventually break down from this rising wedge, get towards here, then your volume comes up here, that will probably look a little bit more interesting to me, even at this like gap fill over here at 455. That's an area where I'd see more of a potential for a bottom. But right now, though, I'm not really seeing that. I mean, it's always possible, you never know. But we could see a little bit more selling before we bottom. I don't think we're going to dump or anything like that. Of course, we do have rate hikes later in the year, but that's already expected, and the markets are forward looking. So I think short term, you might have a little bit more to go down, but I do think you'll get a nice bounce at some point, maybe towards the end of this week or next week. So that's just my short term thesis on the market. MACD did cross over to red. You're currently at about a 50% retrace from your low to high. Going down to lower time frames, you can see the levels over here. Really no harmonic because you just kind of went straight up and then down. So yeah, just look at horizontal supports and Fibonacci, and we'll take it day by day. But for right now, I'm not really seeing anything that's implying a reversal like tomorrow. You know, your 1 hour is okay, but that's really it. You know, maybe lower time frames allow for some sort of smaller bounce. You kind of have these wedges forming, as you can see here on the 15-minute charts, but it's not really seeing the typical bottoming formations that I would like to see for right now. So that's your S&P 500. QQQ, still a potential inverse head and shoulders. Probably you'd need to hold above Friday's low for this to actually stay as a potential inverse head and shoulders. And a very clear level that I'm sure a lot of people are watching is this low over here. If you break under 377.5 on the QQQ, not good. That pretty much means you're giving up that weekly support we were just talking about over here, which I do think might send you all the way down to test these areas if you do break under that. So yeah, you know, you never know. Maybe something like this is always possible. Get a nice little retrace to prior supports, maybe even drop all the way down to 360 to fill that gap. Like, it just doesn't seem from a technical standpoint that we're done selling. I'm never going to complain about being wrong about, you know, a bottom coming before I wanted it to. If prices go up, I'll be happy about that, but still need more work. Again, you know, we're not really in an area where you have the high probability. You don't have the divergence, but again, it can happen very, very quickly, right? If we do get this type of formation in the market, then we get to our lower Bollinger Bands on the daily. You actually add it on the QQQ right now, but on the SPY, and then maybe get some form of divergence, but maybe we do have to go lower before we go higher. Otherwise, if we start bouncing here, you might just see a little bit of a sideways trend rather than an actual reversal that can hold. So that's the QQQ. The NASDAQ, kind of the same thing. It did actually close under the demand line of this channel on my daily, but on the weekly, it's still within it. Lower time frames are just testing this 14.9 level, 14.9K level. Got a little bit of a range here. So really for the NASDAQ and the QQQ, you're pretty much opening at around your supports tomorrow. If you don't have a good green day tomorrow, that means you're probably going to be breaking down from your supports, which could signal further selling throughout the week. So your long tech and large caps, probably want to just not sell off even more, otherwise you break these levels, could see lower prices. The ARK ETF, I don't know, at what point do I stop pre-drawing these lines? It's just still not really giving me what I want just yet. I think we talked about this last week, but you know, maybe we chart like this and we're at a demand line, but what would make more sense to me is around $81. You'd be retesting this low from September 2020, and that's also your golden retrace from the COVID crash low to your all-time high. So I don't know, 81 might sound a little bit better. So again, it's always possible that this is your bottom. I just don't really see any technicals that indicate that we're at the bottom yet. So I wouldn't mind if we sold off for a few more days, and then we get, you know, the $81 ARK ETF. We get the NASDAQ to maybe start filling some gaps over here. We get the SPY to retest this gap fill, get at the lower Bollinger Band, have those volume levels raise, and then we have a higher probability for a bottom in the market. So that's kind of how I see it right now. course, you're probably gonna have a couple spikes here and there because of your low time frames being oversold, but overall trend, still I'd say short-term bearish for right now in the market. So yeah, that's my thoughts on the market going into this week. We can look at a couple other things. Obviously, we had the 10-year rising. I mean, you can't be surprised. We talked about the dragon pattern here, the bullish engulfing. We talked about the break over the 200-day moving average. We even talked about the breakout of this downsloping channel. We talked about all of this, and now you put in your highest level since January of 2020 on Friday. So next level of resistance on the US 10-year is around 1.91. You can see it was resistance in December of 2019, resistance in April of 2016, and support in 2015, as well as 2014. So that's your 10-year. Maybe it does decide to pull back a little bit or something at some point and then go higher, but we'll see what happens. The VIX, still finding resistance around $20, $21, but you now have broken out of this falling wedge. You have confirmed hidden bullish divergence on the daily. You're back testing the 200-day moving average. Even this is honestly kind of looking a little bit bullish right now. So not the best looking technicals for the market short term, but again, if we sell off a little bit more, then we get that divergence on the indices. We get to the lower Bollinger Bands on the SPY. We have volume raising for the overall market. Those are the areas which we could get within literally a few days, but we're not at those areas for right now. Apart from that, the Hang Seng Index is actually up today, up 0.5%. We did talk about how it's been breaking out of this downsloping channel towards the end of last week with the classic bullish divergence, and I actually just noticed this double bottom over here. You got a double bottom play out over here, right around all that Evergrande crisis stuff. At the PCC of the batch, it just really didn't do much after it. Went up like 10%, but if you zoom out, that's like nothing compared to how much it sold off. So now you're trying again. You broke out of a channel. A common retrace here would be these areas. Maybe fill this gap. You have a gap below at the 618. So that's your Chinese index for right now. Looking pretty decent actually. Even broke above these 2 candle highs. Gold just kind of going sideways. The dollar testing the demand line of this symmetrical triangle. Let's see if it can hold it this week. Dow Jones. Maybe find some support around 36K. Russell growth trying to maybe back test these areas, but it's actually under this support over here. And then finally lumber is at the PCC of the bat. I had somebody message me on Twitter about this, so I don't know, just wanted to bring that up. So that's the market. Let me take a look at the chat for a second here. If you just joined the stream, make sure you watch the replay with timestamps later, because there are some interesting things you want to keep an eye on for the market, some very important levels that we're testing, especially on the QQQ. What's up, Bueller, Frank, Steven, Scrooge, Spiderwebs? All right, so that's the market. What do we talk about now? Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. If you're new to the channel, check out the Discord. It's completely free. The link is in the description. Let's get started with a couple stocks I'm watching for this week. Let's get started with that. Okay, we're gonna start off with BABA. I did send a nice watch list to premium members today, but BABA is kind of like an alternate bat, except you're 8% deep on your B point. But you can see you came down to around the 1.13 retrace. You bounced there once, you bounced there twice. You got a double bottom at a Fibonacci level, and that 111 level also dates back to a little bit of resistance in 2014 and almost in 2016. So I'm keeping an eye on BABA this week. It even reclaimed 129, which this is a huge level. We will go take a look at it on the weekly, but it's also a double bottom from 2018. So take a look at BABA on the weekly. You can see you just bounced off of this inflection zone, and you have triple classic bullish divergence forming. Very nice bounce week. It's pretty similar to a 3 rising methods candle pattern. It's not, I don't think it's textbook, but it's very similar to that, which is a reversal. It can be a reversal, I believe, or a continuation. I don't know. And RSI divergence. So BABA might be trying to put in a reversal here. Could even draw a little bit of a trend line right here. So that's one of the stocks I'm watching, not just this week, but for the next few weeks. A lot of Chinese stocks have been having a horrible trend for like half a year now, or actually almost a full year now. So I don't know, maybe it could be time for a little bit of a bounce back, but keep an eye on all the news going on there. What else am I watching this week? Tattooed Chef put in a hammer candle on Friday. I actually didn't even send this in the premium watch list today, but I don't know, looking to see if you get some fall through price action off that hammer bullish pin bar candle. Maybe you could even look at Tattooed Chef like this. I think it does have an interesting short interest. Let me take a look. Tattooed Chef on Finviz says 39% short float. So watching Tattooed Chef, kind of like a falling wedge here. Keep an eye on that. Corsair, pretty similar at the apex of a falling wedge. That has on Finviz a 13% short float. Hood, this has just been a horrible stock since the IPO, but another one that did kind of put in a bullish pin bar, not on Friday, but on Thursday. And then on Friday had pretty much close to a bullish engulfing candle. I think gapped up a little bit. Not really anything apart from that. I'm just watching to see if Tattooed Chef, Corsair, and Hood, you know, can just bounce at just these small signals. They still need a lot of work. I still want to see higher lows and higher highs being developed. They're still in very overwhelmingly bearish trends. They are bearish stocks for right now, but I'm trying to see if you can start getting those formations that can change the sentiment just a little bit. Another one I'm watching is LGVN. Shout out to Tigerwood Trader on Twitter. Interesting one. This thing has like a 54% short float. It's in this falling wedge. It's kind of back testing a high from April 13th of last year. Potential classic bullish divergence. Just another one. I'm just watching these. You know, I'm not super bullish on them yet, but I want to see how they start the week off. See if we get any more data on those. Apart from that, if you're in the Discord, I shared some Microsoft calls with everybody, not just in premium, with everybody on Friday. And keep an eye on Microsoft this week. Now, again, the NASDAQ is at a make or break area. But look at this. Futures on the NASDAQ just kind of went up a nice amount. Very nice move off the bottom. So off your low on futures since the open, you're up about 0.7%, which is nice to see. So Microsoft, take a look at this. We're going to start off with the daily. We filled this gap over here on the 4 hour. A little bit oversold. 1 hour chart, we broke out of this white down sloping channel. Also, you bounced off the demand line of a potential right-angled descending broadening wedge where you have this green demand line and supply area around 343. Matt got a MACD crossover. You were oversold, like you were pretty much at your lowest RSI level since September of last year, and you could see what happened then. You had this crazy 25% run in about 2 months. So Microsoft, keep an eye on it. Even on lower time frames, on the 30-minute, you could see that channel breakout with the divergence on the RSI. On the 15-minute supply line break, it had quadruple classic bullish divergence. And then on the 5-minute, just so you can see what happened on Friday, had this nice little breakout over here. I shared calls with all of you on Microsoft, probably around like these prices, and on this high of the day towards, I think it was around 2 o'clock, maybe 3 o'clock. The calls were up 20%. All you have to do is be in the Discord, or even just follow me on Twitter. I shared it there as well. But let's see where it was. Over here, I shared them. 317.5 calls for this Friday on Microsoft. I shared in the public swing alerts channel, and I shared all the analysis here. Okay, I showed you all those charts I just showed you right now. Short-term option flow is bullish, at least for out of the money options. Yeah. All you have to do is be in the Discord. If you miss this, join the Discord so you don't miss the next one. Of course, not all of them are going to be winners, but you can get some education out of it. The Discord link is in the description. So that was cool, but hopefully they can keep going. We'll see. So that's Microsoft. Yeah, so that's pretty much my watch list. I mean, some other ones, Apple, breaking out of a 1 hour falling wedge, or it's, at least it was trying to break out of it. Right now, it's kind of still in it. So I'll still be watching Apple to see if it can eventually break out of this wedge this week, maybe make a nice little move. Pretty close, but not textbook, to a shark. I think it didn't get down to an 886, but we'll take a look. Got down to a 786. So, you know, it's either you call it a cipher that just didn't get to a 382 retrace, or a shark that didn't get to a 786. Neither of them are textbook harmonics. So this is not a textbook harmonic, but that's just how I'm looking at it for right now. So that's Apple, Tesla's, and also in this little 1 hour wedge that's forming. We'll see if it can get some volatile price action on a breakout at some point this week. So yeah, those are some of the stocks I'm looking at this week. I sent probably like another 10 to premium members today. So if you want to see those, join premium. The link is in the description. For the next couple of weeks, I'm gonna be sharing my personal trades, my exits, my entries, the contracts I'm in for my swing trade option account, just for this month only. I don't do that in general. Just way too stressful for me to manage all of that while I'm trading myself. But for this month, I said, hey, why not? So yeah, if you want swing trades, options ideas, day trades, even for options, if you want to see my personal trades, if you want an AI trading bot by TradyTix, if you want a weekly watch list every Sunday, it's only about $1 a day. So there's not anybody else on the planet that I'm aware of who does all that for about $1 a day. If you want to join, that's the first link in the description. If not, totally cool. And that's what I'm looking at going into this week. Now let's talk about the swings. BYND, very, very nice start to the day on Friday. Premium members could have made up to 100% profit on BYND calls. I think this was Thursday right before the close. I shared $67 strike BYND calls with premium members, and here you go. Made this nice move. I told you all about BYND on Thursday night, even if you're not in premium, and I try to make it for people who don't want to join premium for whatever reason. All you got to really do is watch the streams. I talked all about BYND and how I was very, very bullish on BYND on Thursday night. I even tweeted about it like 3 or 4 times. And you saw this very quick 7-8% rise off the open. And yeah, I even showed them that almost pretty much the high of the day around 73. What was the high of the day? 73. So at 73, I said 100% profit on BYND now, approaching second resistance. I charted this well before it even got there. I said this could be a first take profit level to scale some out, and that was the high of the day. So yeah, very nice play on BYND right there. We'll see if it has more left in the tank this week. It definitely did break out of this wedge over here. High short interest at the PCZ of a shark. Hopefully can get some closes above $70 this week, but still keeping a very close eye on it. And the swing is up about a few percent since the entry. So that's BYND. CLOV, they had, not here, but there was, I think, a downgrade or something. I don't really keep up with all that at this point, honestly. Of course, things like that do affect the stock and do affect most stocks, upgrades, downgrades, and just coverage in general. But I've just seen a lot of, I think, FUD with a lot of the analyst coverage on CLOV. So I'll let those analysts have their opinions. To be fair, a lot of them have been right so far. Pretty much all of them with downgrades up until this point, their targets were achieved to the downside. So I can't even act like they were wrong or anything for right now. But I do think CLOV will be multiples higher in the future. I don't know that for sure, but I do think BYND, CLOV, Fisker, I actually did tweet this last week. Those are 3 of my favorite long terms at the current prices. So CLOV, what's going on? You're still under, I think, the daily Bollinger Band. The last 3 or 4 times you did this, that was your bottom. So keep that in mind. You just want to hope that it can show some sort of life. You are still oversold on the daily RSI. Still kind of could easily reclaim this wedge. At this point, it's just I can't predict any bottom. It's just when will it start to make higher lows and higher highs. You got a few variables. You are oversold. Fundamentally, I don't think it should be at $3, but there's a lot of stocks that are not fundamentally where I think they should be right now. It's just we're in a market where there's a lot of things that are very, very overvalued in my opinion. A lot of large caps right now, and then there's a lot of things that their companies have actually, I think, gotten even better based on their earnings in the last year, but they're now down 70-80% from their highs last February. So it's just a lot of these stocks are just moving together. There's actually a really good video you could watch about this if any of you are interested. But we've been talking about this for like 3 or 4 months at this point. Let's see if I can find it.
So folks, the NASDAQ.
Alright, so this is the video from Financial Education. The NASDAQ is secretly being shredded. It talks about how, like I think it was, let's see if we can find 40% of the stocks on the exchange have been cut in half. And you can see that through this. So it's like a lot of the names on the NASDAQ exchange, they're down so much from their highs last year. But obviously the NASDAQ has continued to run to new all-time highs because of some of these large cap tech stocks that like Apple and Microsoft and whatnot that have just nonstop gone up until pretty much the last 2 weeks. So this is nothing that's new. We all know about how a lot of these stocks have just been selling off, and some of them it probably is justified, and for a lot of them I don't think it's justified at all. So yeah, that's really it. GameStop was up 7% on Friday after being up like 30% Thursday after hours on some NFT news. This trade already hit the first target. You can't see it right now, but it happened after hours on Thursday. So 16% gain on the GME swing has already been confirmed. It actually filled the gap the next day in the morning. So obviously it gapped up to all the way up here, and then it kind of sold off the rest of the day, but it did fill the gap. So that's already done, and actually a technically classic bullish divergence for me. I don't think GameStop has that much of a high short float anymore. So I don't really know about like a squeeze or anything, but obviously the social media sentiment on this one is still around, as we saw it up 30% on Friday. So yeah, AMC does still have, I think, about a 20% short float. It double bottomed off of this $20.76 level, which used to be a resistance from the first squeeze in January of 2021. So this swing is currently up a few percent since the entry. I alerted this like 10-15 minutes before it went up like 13-14% after hours on Thursday. And hopefully you can just hold above $20 this week, and eventually the classic bullish divergence can confirm and hit the first target. This was 50 cents away from the first target. First target is $26.60. It got up to like right over here after hours on Thursday, so that was a little bit frustrating. Would have been really cool if it hit the first target within like an hour, but it's all good, I guess. Fisker, still just kind of in this little range between $15.50 and $17.50, this little $2 range it's been in since the middle of December. Hopefully at some point it can break above and hold above $17.50. It did in fact break out of the falling wedge, but it did make this move up to $18, and then it kind of pulled back with a lot of other stocks towards the end of last week. Bearish engulfing candle on the 4-hour to close off the week, fortunately. Hopefully it can just hold above the mid $15 area. No bearish divergence on the 4-hour, and no bearish divergence on the daily. So just gotta continue to hold above these make or break areas and hopefully break back above mid $17 level and hold that for once. SPLK hasn't really done anything since this was alerted, just kind of going sideways. Hopefully it can break above this resistance at 118 this week. Wix, this trade was up it's 15% at one point. Now it's only up a few percent. So hopefully this potential inverse head and shoulders can turn into something real. It can get back above 163 and eventually hit targets, but you got to keep an eye on that daily MACD, which I believe is showing a little bit of hidden bearish divergence, nearly confirmed. So keep an eye on that. SU already hit the first target. Not much of any technical change, 10% gain right there. The LO hit its first target, 11% gain right there. Next resistance is between 83 and 85. So that's really it for the swings going into this week. Yeah. Pineapple does not belong on pizza bala. The KFC Beyond Chicken drops tomorrow, says Plebere. See how the reviews go for that. Thoughts on sector rotation to small cap, says Lily Smith. I think it's going to happen. Yeah, I do. I think it's going to happen. I don't think we're there just yet. I think we might have a little bit more time until then. But I do think that the money is not going to completely exit the stock market. I think there's still too much money in the market. I think a lot of money is going to move from large caps to mid caps and small caps towards probably the middle of this quarter, in my opinion. I don't know that for sure though. But go watch that video I just showed you all on the stream. And that explains a lot more. Take a look at some of the indices right now and how a lot of these formations, they just don't look like they should, in my opinion. So I do think we're going to see a rotation, a very large rotation. I do think by the time we get there, I think a lot of people will be fully shaken out, which is how the market works. Once things are finally to change from a major downtrend to an uptrend, the majority of traders are already shaken out at that point. So it's just about, in my opinion, surviving until then. All right, Jesse, I don't really know anything about that, so I can't really talk about something I'm not familiar with, unfortunately. So yeah. All right, I guess it's just going to be like a quick update video going into the week, a half an hour stream. we're just gonna keep it short for today. I'll be live again tomorrow. So thank you for watching the stream, and hopefully you learned something in this half an hour. So join the Discord. The link is in the description. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, and I'll see you tomorrow.